Hi, everybody. I'm Dean Miller, and welcome to Wolf Driver. This is my premiere live broadcast. I have not yet broadcast live on Facebook, so this is kind of a new thing. In fact, I'm still adjusting, getting the logo in place. This is my dog Kirby. I've had Kirby about 10 years, and he and I are best buds, and he's going to help me talk to you a little bit about dog training today. I am working with Wolf Driver. I'm known as the dog counselor, and I am a dog trainer, dog teacher, behavior specialist. I do all kinds of stuff with dogs, but it's all based in love, discipline, and mutual respect. So let's see what I got going here. It says, "Oh, my audience is growing. 25 people are watching me right now. Hi, 25 people. We're going to take some questions about dog training and dog behavior. If you have any questions and you want to type them in, I'll be happy to talk to you and answer them. Again, for those of you just joining me, my name is Dean Miller, and I am the dog counselor. I have some notes here I'd like to follow while I talk to you a little bit about training. I kind of wanted to tell you a little bit about my philosophy of dog training. I am self-taught, I guess you would say, although I've been doing this more than 15 years. I studied different forms of dog training, and I felt that people were doing some things right, some things wrong. I have kind of an instinct for training, and I felt that people were not really training based on the way dogs' instincts are. There's a lot of training philosophy out there that's based on what I call humanized training. People don't want to correct their dogs. They don't want to do anything they think is quote unquote mean. They don't want to be harsh with their dogs. And I certainly never want to be harsh with a dog. I never want to be negative or mean. But I also think in the same way that you raise a child, you have to, oh, Kirby dropped his bone. You want your bone? There you go, buddy. Kirby's back there chewing a bone and trying to keep busy while he helps me out with the training. If I have to ask any questions, I'm just going to ask Kirby because he knows more about dogs than I do. But basically, people, a lot of trainers will base their training on not making people feel guilty or about training, or people don't want to feel like they're overcorrecting their dogs. You should certainly never overcorrect your dog or be mean. But in the same way you raise a child, I always think there's balance. So, we love our children. We give them ice cream. We take them to Disney World and playgrounds. But we also tell our kids, eat your vegetables, go to school, do your homework, right? So we have to balance it. So a dog's version of that is they have to know that you're the alpha dog, the leader. I always say dad first, friend second. Mom first, friend second. Just like a child relationship. But dogs interpret their leader a little bit differently than humans do. A human is looking for somebody that's sweet and kind and nice and that we can reason with and talk with and negotiate with. A dog is a little bit more black and white. Right, wrong, positive, negative, good, bad, although we certainly have subtle nuances in our relationships. But my philosophy toward training is train like a mama dog trains her puppies, right? When we correct like a dog. And that means quick, to the point, and done in a split second. So if our relationship is going right with our dog, I always say we're loving them 99% of the day and correcting them 1 second of the day. So in my world, a correction sounds like a mama dog correcting her puppies. A correction sounds like, wow, one time, woof, right? And I try to attach a word with that. No, quit, right? And if I need to, I'll make a harsher correction, which is a little nip. And that I can mimic by just touching the dog pretty briefly, quickly. So we'll get into all the techniques and that kind of thing later. Right now, I'm just sort of going to give you an overview of my philosophy and how I work. And I certainly want to take some questions from you. So if you have anything you'd like to type in. Kirby dropped his bone again. Buddy, there's your bone. Good boy. What a good boy. Thank you. So if you have any questions or thoughts, please send them in. But definitely we have to remember that as hard as it is to remember, our dogs are animals. And so they're wired differently than we are. They're not wired the same way we are. They don't reason. They don't think things through the same way we do. They just have a kind of a positive, negative, right, wrong. Does this fit me? Does this not fit me? Does this benefit me or not benefit me? So we want to kind of train in that way. We want our training to have a quick, short correction, a quick, short command, and a loving, soft response when they do the right thing. They respond a lot to tone of voice and body language, which we'll get into more later. I'm just kind of giving you an overview right now. They respond to, I always say a dog looks at what are you presenting? Are you presenting a calm, confident front? Are you presenting a weak, soft, timid approach? Are you presenting fear? Are you presenting strength? They're looking at what you're presenting. They're not listening to the paragraphs and paragraphs of information, okay? So when you're yelling at your dog, when you're saying, I told you to get off the couch, the dog is not responding in the same way as if you were just getting to the point, okay? I am a behavior specialist. So when I train, I go to your home. I feel like when you train someone in their home, the dog learns differently at their house than they do in a class. Now, when I go to when someone teaches a class, I look at that as like a kid going to school, okay? When you go to school, you learn spelling and math and science, but when you are training at home, when I train, I'm trying to teach you more of a Dr. Phil relationship to your dog, more of a hands-on kind of how to treat your mom, how to treat your brother, how to treat your sister, how to get along well at home. So my behavior philosophies are more about family relationships with your dog, leader, follower, mom and dad, kid, and home life than it is homework and school like math and science. So sit, stay, lie down, those are behaviors like learning math and spelling, and you can learn those at a store or at a, like PetSmart teaches these training classes, or if you want to go to an outside class, that's fine. But I'm a big believer in learning in the dog's home because they're very much comfortable. They're in their own environment. They have their own, comfortability at home. So I'm a big believer in that, and I believe your dog is a member of your family. I don't believe in this term outside dog, that the dog is only outside and we visit him when it's convenient for us. And I know people, I've worked at people's homes where the dog is outside 23 hours a day and they go out there 20 minutes after work and throw the ball around and think that's enough. Well, your dog is a creature with love and empathy and thoughts and feelings just like us. And they need us. They need to have a relationship with us. I believe when they live in your home, or when you're spending time with them, or you're with them consistently, they not only learn from your training and your teaching, but they learn just from being around you. And I call that, I call it passive training. Passive training is kind of when the dog's listening to how you speak, the sound of your voice, what goes on in your body language. They watch your movements through the day and learn how humans behave, as well as, lessons. They're learning just by watching you. Just like a kid is like a sponge. They absorb things, they learn things. Okay, so I'm going to take a couple of questions here real quick. I'll get back to this stuff in just a minute. Our first question that came in, as I get up into the camera like this, any suggestions on how to stop one from barking at everything, even when the wind blows? I've tried exercise, etc. Nothing works. And this is from Tamala Lannert. Okay, there are many different reasons why a dog barks. And oftentimes, sometimes they're just entertaining themselves. Sometimes they're warning you that something's happening. Sometimes they're over alert. Sometimes, they're trying to tell the rest of the pack something's going on. There are many reasons why a dog barks. But just like anything else, the dog needs a cutoff button. They need something where you as the mom or dad, or whomever is the parent, should be able to say no or quit when the dog needs to stop. I like to say quit or enough. Sometimes in my house I say thank you, and then they hush. But they don't just learn it from yelling, Let's say your dog's out in the yard or in another part of your house and they're just barking, barking, barking. If we haven't worked on training and our relationship with our dog throughout the day, then when it comes time that we need it and we say no or stop, they're not going to listen to us because they haven't been listening to us all day. They need to look at us as mom or dad throughout the day, alpha dog, leader in other circumstances, so that when it comes down to a time you really need it, they've learned all throughout the day that you're someone they should listen to. We also tend to overcorrect. So a dog's barking and we say, no, quit, stop, don't, stop it, you're driving me crazy, quit barking. And what that does is just add noise to the situation. And by adding noise to the situation, you're compounding the problem. So oftentimes a dog barks to tell the rest of the pack something's going on. You say, shut up, and so the dog thinks, good, we're all barking, we'll scare this thing away. So they feel like we're all on the same page barking. Well, there's a lot of power in silence when you're training a dog. And I believe in 1 or 2 corrections, and if the dog isn't listening to your voice, then you need to stop saying it. You need to go over to the dog where the dog is and give him a quick touch. A touch on the shoulder, a touch on the flank, but it's just a quick little rude tap. And at that time you say no at the same time. And what that does is it reads to the dog like you are barking and nipping. It's like you're saying, no, bark, biting, nipping. And the dog starts to learn, if you've said it once or twice, you're going to enforce it. We don't want to keep saying things over and over again. My dad used to have a philosophy when I was growing up. He used to say, when I tell you to do something, I'm going to tell you once. And I might tell you twice, but I am never telling you a 3rd time. And what that meant to me is if I didn't listen to my dad, he was coming for me, right? So oftentimes he'd say no or quit, and now Kirby's going to bark. Are you going to bark? You going to get him? Oh, I thought he was going to bark so I could demonstrate how to tell him not to bark. But he didn't. He quieted down. But basically my dad would say, you know, I'm going to tell you once or twice and then I'm coming to get you. And so many times in my life I would ignore my dad. And by that 3rd time I'd hear his footsteps down the hall and I'd be thinking, he's coming, I got to do it, I got to do it. So you just learn to do it on the 1st or 2nd time. And that's what we want your dog to learn. So let's say, for example, your dog is barking out the window at a squirrel, okay? And the dog's escalated. From wherever you are in the house, you don't have to come running. You just want to say, hey, or no, 1 time, right? If you might try it twice, but if the dog doesn't listen, we want to stop yelling. We want to walk to where the dog is, step between them and the window, step between them and the problem, facing them, step between them and the squirrel, face the dog, and say no, and touch the dog. Touch them quickly with your fingers, a shoulder or somewhere else, and nope. And then just wait for them to accommodate you. Be still, be quiet, don't keep yelling, be quiet, and wait for them to accommodate you. Because we're serving 2 purposes with that. 1, we're saying, stop barking and I'm going to enforce it. And part 2 is we're saying, I've got it, not your problem, I'm the alpha dog, I'm the security guard, I got it. So whatever's behind me that I'm correcting you about, I'm stepping into your space and the thing behind me, I got it. That's how a dog reads it. So that's maybe an oversimplified way of handling it. If I could see the dog, I could be more specific about it, but maybe try those things and let me know how it goes. I'm going to take a couple of more questions here. Let me see what else we got. I have to get way up into the camera to read these things. Let's see here. Becky Peterson says, our Micah does paper training, great for days, and when he starts messing up, great for days, and then he starts messing up. There we go. When he does good, we give him praise and a treat, and we clap and tell him he's a good boy. Okay, well, let me tell you my philosophy a little bit about paper training. I feel like paper training is sort of telling the dog it's okay to go to the bathroom in the house. So my preference is to teach the dog to go out on the grass. They learn very much through texture, through the feeling on their feet, and smell. And so if they smell and feel paper, that's very man-made, and it teaches them it's okay to go on man-made things. Plus a paper tends to look like a bath mat, tends to look like a welcome mat, a rug. It's very confusing oftentimes for a dog that we have different textures and items in the house they can go to the bathroom on. Now the exception is if you work all day, if you're gone 6-8 hours a day and the dog doesn't have access to a bathroom, then by all means they need paper training, they need an access to a bathroom. So that would be your alternative. Yes, you have to use paper training. But I would prefer to see the dog go out many times a day, more times than they need to go to one spot. When they go to that spot, they're not allowed to play or run. They just have to go potty on command. And when they do, you celebrate that and then let them play a bit. Same thing in the house. You bring them there to the spot. Another thing you can do to encourage them on the paper, if you must use paper, is to leave a little urine on it, or if you are able to wipe up some urine with a paper towel and put it on the paper, leave that urine on there for a day or two. I know it's gross, but it sort of gives you a little bit of, a signal. It's a signal to the dog. When they learn through smell, they don't learn through sight and reasoning. So the smell tells them that's a toilet, okay? Don't ever let them go anywhere else. They have to either go on the paper or outside, but nowhere else. Otherwise, it's too general. It's too vague for them. And you want to confine their access. They need to be supervised or contained for a few days until they learn what the bathroom habits are. So I hope that's kind of in a nutshell. I could get into more detail if you want to email me, or we can talk further. Let me see what else I've got here. How about a biter? Not hard like a kid. She's 6 months old. Everything has to go in her mouth. Well, of course, at a certain age, dogs are teething. They have to teeth. They have to bite. And they reach out and learn from the world the same way kids do with their hands. They're exploring, and as long as the baby teeth are in, now at 6 months, maybe the baby teeth aren't in, but you need to inhibit that biting. And oftentimes the biggest mistake we make is when the dog is chewing on our hands, we tend to say, no, out, quit, and pull our hand away. And every time there's movement, we're creating a game. We're retreating, which is a weak behavior. We're moving back, which says, come chase me. But forward movement or holding our ground is very strong to a dog. That's very dominant behavior. So as hard as it is, if your dog is chewing on your hand, you want to leave that hand still and correct with the other hand. You touch them on the shoulder or the side. Not hard, you just touch them a little bit and you say no. But the hardest thing is to leave that hand there, and if the dog comes back, no. And they'll start to accommodate. They'll start to move back from this hand and learn that you're not. The idea is I'm saying, I'm not moving, you move. Okay? So I leave that hand there. I say no. The dog moves back. I wait a minute. If the dog turns it to a lick instead of a bite, then the dog is telling you, I get it. Licking is a submissive motion, so they're telling you, I get it. That's an oversimplified version there. Let me see what else I've got here. I have done everything you are saying, still doesn't work with her. I saved her from the pound 9 years ago. Well, I would have to see that dog. I'd have to meet that dog. I have all kinds of techniques. It's really hard to say over a text or over the internet what to do about a dog. I have to meet the dog. And I may even, if you want to send a video, I might be able to tell you over video what I see going on here. From Mariah Mann, I see here, I am dog sitting on a dog right now that reacts terribly towards cars, bikes, joggers. It is nearly impossible to walk her around those distractions. She barks and tugs hard on the leash when she sees something. Okay, so here's what I would say about that. Dogs, oftentimes, they have a bad reaction to something, and then we correct them and retreat. Correct them and move away. Correct them and go do something else. When what we really need to do is correct them and get them under control and then expose them again. Correct them, expose them again. Repeated exposure while being told how to act is really the philosophy. I'd have to show you in better detail than that. You know, a lot of times I get this a lot. People call me and they say, how do I fix this? Or they email me, how do I fix this? Or they text me. First of all, if I could tell you over the phone, I'd never make a living. So there's that. Secondly, it's just like anything else. There are no 5-minute cures. There are no 1-second cures, wave a magic wand, do these 2 or 3 things. So in a case like that, I can help you. I can fix it. But, you know, it takes a whole session, and every dog is different. Every dog has their own personality. There's not a one-size-fits-all. There's not an answer for every dog. I can't say every dog do this. I mean, this morning I trained a Pomeranian dog. It was a puppy, 6 months old. And we were simply teaching the dog to sit, okay? And I was trying 2 or 3 different techniques that I had, that work great with dogs, but every dog's different. So I tried one different thing, which is I would say sit and move forward. Sit and move forward. And the moving forward put the dog in a sit position. No amount of treats, no amount of touching them back in, no amount of anything else was working. So this particular dog responded to the moving forward for a second. Every dog's different. So in your case, the principle is correct the behavior and then expose them again and show them what they are supposed to do. And prolonged exposure makes the problem less. It's removing them that makes it worse. If you're still having trouble, I will say this, I don't know where you're located, but I do travel, I teach, I've taught all over the country. People have flown me all kinds of places. It's a little expensive, but I will fix your problem. 99.9% guaranteed. There's always that one dog that's a little genetically, I have one, has a screw loose, but but I can help you. So if you think it's worth it, I can fly to where you are. I can do video sessions. I can see your dog and talk with you over Skype. I do various things. And that brings me to another point, which I have completely neglected to mention, but my website is thedogcounselor.com. So if you want to hear more about me, if you want to ask me questions, my name is Dean Miller. You can reach me through thedogcounselor.com. I've also written a book about dogs, which is called A Dog's Way. And you can find A Dog's Way on Amazon.com. Let me see if I can look it up here. That'd be great if I could just find it for you. Forgive me for looking down, but I'm looking on my iPad here. So thedogcounselor.com, you can order my book, or you can look up the book on Amazon.com. And what else was I going to tell you? I'm having trouble with my iPad here. But definitely come back here and check out Wolf Driver periodically, because I am on here. I'm going to be on here, I believe, weekly. We haven't decided exactly how many of these we're doing a week, but we will post on Wolf Driver on Facebook, this channel that you're already on. So keep checking back with Wolf Driver, and you'll see when I'm back again. And I will come on and talk with you about dog training, dog behavior questions, answer your questions. And you can certainly write to me through Facebook.com/thedogcounselor, or better yet, my website, thedogcounselor.com. I appreciate you guys being here today. We're probably going to cut it off for now. It's been really nice talking to you. It's amazing how the time flies. I was supposed to do 15 minutes, and I'm here at 22 minutes. So I have the gift of gab, I guess, and I hope I didn't talk your ears off. But thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you'll join us in the future. Kirby and I would love to see you again when he wakes up from his nap. And please check out Wolf Driver as much as you can and see all the exciting, cool things happening. It was nice to see you, and thank you, and have a good weekend. Happy Father's Day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.